Hello and welcome to the Let's Create Art Paint Along. Today we're going to be painting Super Mario. Mario is a fan favorite and he has been well requested, and this is going to be a really fun tutorial. If you purchase the kit, you already have all your supplies you need. You just need to make sure that you have a cup of water, a paper towel, and something covering the area you're painting. So if you purchase the kit, you have everything you need. You just need to make sure you have a cup of water, a paper towel, and something covering the area that you're painting on, like a old sheet or a tablecloth. A garbage sack works well. To begin with, we are going to start with our background. So we're going to go in with our blue. If you want to do a dark blue solid coating, you can do that. It's probably going to take you 2 coats. So you'll do 1 layer and then dry and come back and do a second layer. Or you can do kind of what I'm doing and make it look a little more textured. So I picked up the blue first, and I'm going to just go right around the outside of the drawing of Mario. And then just get kind of close to where the edging is, but we'll be painting him, so if you get over the line a little bit, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Just try not to go all the way over. All right. So I'm just putting some blue down in areas, and then I'm gonna do a cross-hatching brush stroke, but you of course can do a really solid smooth one similar to this if you want. It's just gonna take you 2 coats of this. And then now I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of white, and when I pick up the white, I want to pull from the side, not straight down into the middle of the pile of paint. So go from the side so you don't contaminate the whole thing. And then I don't have a lot of white, just a little bit, and then I'm just going to kind of do an Xing. This is called a cross-hatching brush stroke. And then you'll see where it kind of starts blending in with the other blue, and it's gonna give it more of a movement to the background opposed to just a flat background. And you can go back if you need to go back and pick up some more blue to put in. You can do that. As your paint starts drying, it's not gonna mix as well, so you may have to go back in with some more blue. And if you're doing this method, you don't have to worry about having the brush stroke all in one certain way or direction, because it's just a mishmash anyway. So the key here is just going to be having the paint wet to work with. And then don't forget to go along the outside edges of your canvas. That way it looks like a complete piece of work when you're done, rather than a still work in progress. So all the way over the sides. Whatever is on the front, you want to pull off the sides. And if at any point on the front you have any like white areas, white bubbles coming through, that's just canvas coming through. So just layer a little bit more paint on it. And you'll notice as it starts to dry, you'll see more of those little white bubbles popping out. So that happens whenever your paint is soaking into the fabrics of the canvas. So don't worry about it too much. It just means you need a second coat. So you'll just go in and do a similar brush stroke and method that you did the first go around, and then you'll see all those little white spots of canvas start really covering up. And then we're just going to go all the way around until we get our background how we like it. It has to be pretty cool because Mario's a really popular cool guy. Some people prefer Luigi. Some people prefer Mario. Or you could like both. I personally like Yoshi. So down here around the face, we want to be really kind of careful because the skin tone is going to be lighter, and so we want to, it's going to be harder to cover up any darker blue areas. So I'm keeping it just a little bit lighter down here, and it also looks more like some clouds and then the dark sky. But it is up to you how you want your background. That's the awesome thing about art. You can be completely free and creative in your own ways and still learn throughout the process. There's no right way, no wrong way, and there are no accidents. All right, so when you think you're done with the background part, make sure that you look on all of the edges of your canvas and make sure that they are painted with the blue that you have on the front. And then if you're painting the edges and you get some across the front, just smooth that out before it dries. And then once you get all of your edges completed and your background is complete, we suggest that you get a blow dryer or stop and wait a minute and let it dry. The reason why you would let it dry is because as the paint soaks into the canvas, you may start seeing some white areas popping out, and that you want to have covered before you move on. So as it starts drying, if it starts soaking in the canvas and you see more canvas coming through that needs to be painted, you want to do that before you move on to the next part, because we want the background to look like it's in the back rather than anywhere in the front. So we want the background to be completely good before we move to Mario, which is going to be on top of our background. And then if we have to go back and make corrections, we can. It's just a little bit harder to get it to look uniform and like it all goes together. So just stop and make sure that as it dries or as it dried, that it looks the way you want it to. So push the pause button, go to the blow dryer, give it a second, get a drink break, and then check it out and do a second coat if you need a second coat. And then if you don't need a second coat, we're going to move on to the next step, Mr. Mario. Okay, so now we are going to move on and do Mario. So to begin with, we are going to start with his skin tone, because that is probably going to take us 2 coats for sure. So we're going to start there, and then we'll kind of jump around and let that dry, and then we'll come back and do another coat or 2 if we need it. Okay, so you are going to pick up your skin color, which is kind of the tan color, and then just start filling in the areas of his skin. So avoid the eyes, and then right here is his mustache, and right here is hair, and we're gonna avoid the mouth also. So on the nose, we want to paint kind of circular because we want it to look like he has a circular nose. So anytime you're painting, the way that your brush stroke goes is kind of the way that it's going to have the illusion that it actually flows or works. Like if we were doing hair, we would want the hair to grow down. And in this case, we want our nose to be round. And then we're gonna go right over here on the side of his eye. It's just a really tiny spot, so I'm not pushing really hard because I just want my brush bristles to barely touch the canvas there to make a smooth line. The harder you push, the wider that your brush stroke gets. And we kind of want it small. Then we're gonna go right around his eyebrow up to his hair and line there, and then right here is another eyebrow. We're gonna fill that in, and we're gonna go down between the eyes and then kind of curve out and around. And if at any time you get thick blobs of paint, just use your brush that doesn't have any paint on it, don't get any more paint, and smooth that out. So just use whatever big blob of paint is on there and then smooth it across the dry canvas area. And then over here, in between his hat and his little piece of hair coming out. And if you see white as you're doing this, fill it in with the skin tone color. That'll help on the second coat. You won't have to do as much. So right now we want to make sure we're covering any white areas that are still showing while the paint's wet. Because if it's showing now when it's wet, it's going to really be showing when it's dry. And then this is his mustache. We're going to go right between the mustache and above the mouth. And we're going to line it with black. So right here where the skin meets the sky, it's going to look kind of funny in the meantime. Don't worry about it too much. It'll look better when we're done with the black lining. So he's a character, and most characters, if you look around, have that black line all around and in. And that just gives it more of like a shadow, like realistic. It's not a realistic shadow, it's just the indication of a shadow without it being real. Most cartoons are kind of flat characters. And then right here, this is the ear. And we're going to put some black lines in there to kind of make it look a little bit more like an ear. Okay, so make sure all of your tan colored area isn't showing white right now. And then we're going to rinse our brush out from this tan color, the skin tone color. And we're going to move on to another color. So rinse your brush out, get all of the color out really well, and dry it off on your paper towel. And then we're gonna move to the red hat. Red is also a color that doesn't necessarily coat well the first time, so we may have to do a couple coats of it, and you may have to dry in between. When you're painting, if you keep putting a layer of color on and it's just not covering, it's just picking up wet paint. So the key is to dry it and make it hard so that the next layer of paint sits on top of instead of just smushes and mooshes it around. So just keep that in mind if you come upon that issue while you're painting. All right, we're gonna grab some red and we're gonna do the hat. So the hat is all around here. And then this is going to be white, around like the white circle, and then the M is going to be red. So leave that circle white. We're going to put white on it. So if you want to do all of the like lining parts first, you can do it that way, or you can just start filling in and covering as you go. And then make sure that you do it smooth. So if you have chunks of paint, you want to smooth those out as we're painting. And then the same thing is going to be here around where the red meets the blue, like it was for the skin. It's going to look a little funny, but we're going to put the black lines in and it's going to just look way better. So don't worry about it too much. Then we're going to go up the hat. And then we're gonna go around the circle carefully. The black is gonna cover the red really well, but the white will have a little bit more trouble covering red. So try to be really careful around that white circle part. And the same thing here, if you're seeing white bubbles popping through, add some more red. And if you need to rotate your canvas while you're painting, rotate your canvas. Nothing says it has to sit in the exact same spot the entire time you paint. If it's easier for you to lay your hand down, but there's wet paint there, just rotate your canvas so that you can lay your hand down. Or if it's easier to come towards you rather than away from you, but you can't see because your arm is in the way, rotate your canvas until it feels comfortable. All right. So we have the top part of our hat done, and now we're going to do the little bill part. But right here is a eyebrow, so we're going to try to avoid that. And we're going to go around the eyebrow on this side as well. The eyebrows are going to be black, so they will cover over our red. So if you get a little bit in there, don't worry about it too much. Just try to keep the shape of your sketch as much as you can. I'm smoothing out all my globs of paint, and then I went sideways here, and then I kind of went up like the curve, and now we're going to go down. So down the little bill part. And we're going to put a black line in there in the middle, so it'll really show the difference. And then here above our eyebrow, we're just gonna go right over the top of it and then down that little bitty crack part. And then right here under the eyebrow and around. All right, so now we have all of the red done, and we'll have to watch it. As it dries, we might really start seeing some brush strokes, or we might really start seeing some red pop through. It is going to depend on how much paint that you got on there your first go around. So we'll leave it be for now, and then we'll come back and revisit it in a minute. So wash your brush out from the red. And we're going to use the smaller detail brush, and we're gonna paint the inside of the eyes white, and then the teeth. So this area should be pretty dry now, and that area should dry while we're working on this. So take your clean white, and then we're gonna fill in just the line here that indicates he has teeth. And then for his eyes, they have 3 layers. So this is gonna be the black pupil, this is gonna be the blue eyeball part, and this is gonna be like the whites of the eye. So we're gonna take the white, and we're gonna fill in all of that outside, that first moon. So a lot of times people are like, why do I need to paint that? Like, it's already white. I'm not going to paint that. But the reason why you would want to paint that is because the canvas is just raw fabric. So it doesn't actually have, it has a little bit of gesso on it, but it's not actually paint. So without the paint, your fabric is prone to attracting a lot of dirt and stains. It'll just sit there. You can't really clean it. So you want to make sure and put a layer of white paint over any raw canvas, because it protects the canvas, one, and it's going to keep it white, which is our purpose. We don't really want a gray eye over time. And makes it easier to clean. The paint puts a layer of like glue on there, and it protects that. And then you can, if it got dirt on it, you could wipe it away easily, and it wouldn't mix into the fabric and make gray. Okay, so up here we're gonna add the white in our little circle, and you want to be careful. If your red is still wet, you want to go ahead and dry it or wait, because if it's wet and you put the white here, it's going to make this pink. So if you want a pink one, that's fine. Just stay cautious of the area if it's wet, or go ahead and push the pause button and dry it. So we're gonna just go all the way around the M and fill in the white parts of the canvas. And it's gonna be kind of hard to see because we're putting white on white, but you'll see while it's wet, it'll look shiny on the parts that have paint, and it will just look flat on the parts that don't have paint. And we're gonna put a black ring around here, so where the white and the red meet, if it's not really straight and perfect, you don't have to worry about it too much. So this is a small area. I'm using my small brush just out of precaution. If you feel comfortable using a large brush in here, you can try it. But most of the time in small areas, these are called detail brushes. So you want to use a smaller detail brush in a detail area. And then the larger brushes are called like wash brushes, which are really good for any larger area, so it doesn't take you so many coats and so many brush strokes. Okay, so I have my white filled in now, and I have my whites of my eye, and I have the whites of my teeth. So I'm gonna rinse the white out of this brush. And then I'm gonna switch to the black, and we're gonna fill in his mustache and his hair and this one little circle on his eye and the eyebrows. You can use whichever brush you feel comfortable with. And if you want to use two different brushes, just switch your brushes. Just make sure they're clean of paint. So I'm going to start down here with his mustache. This is the part that makes Mario Mario. So you'll want to do this carefully. Black is your dominant color, and it's really hard to fix any mistakes with the black. So make sure you're going smooth and careful. Does it have to be perfect? No, it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, then we're gonna come around, and I'm gonna do the same edging along the bottom. You want to try to get as close as you can to like a straight line on the edges, and then you can fill in the middle parts. And make sure that you don't see any white bubbles. We want a completely solid Mario mustache. And then if you have chunks of paint, like thick edges or ridges, smooth those out. And then over here is a little hair area coming out from under his hat. We're going to use the black and just fill this little area in. And it doesn't have to be perfect over here either. It's just hair coming out of his hat. Alrighty. And then we're gonna fill in the little circles here, the smallest ones. And then we're gonna go over to this one. We're gonna fill in the smallest one over here. And if you need your small brush, you can definitely switch to your small brush. And then try to make it round because it is an eye. So the inside area is going to be a little bit round, but whereas right there is going to be more straight because the nose is kind of cutting off half of that eye. Part of that eye is back behind. And if you need to like fix or correct or keep making bigger or smaller, then you can do that. And don't worry, we're going to put some blue in there too. And then we're gonna go into the eyebrows. And those are gonna be black also. So we're gonna just fill in that area. And they kind of curve down here. And then a little bit straighter on the bottom. And then over here, we're gonna curve up and then straight. And if you need to rotate your canvas around, rotate your canvas around. Remember, it doesn't have to be exactly one position, one location the entire time. And then be mindful of the other wet paint around. And then this one, this eyebrow is gonna just kind of come off over a little bit into our background. So it's kind of gonna hang off a little bit. Okay, so you can check and make sure that you have no little white bubbles coming through any of your areas that we just painted with the black. And then we're gonna rinse out the brush and we're gonna grab our small detail brush and we're gonna do a little bit of work up here in our M and down here on our mouth. So grab your small detail brush and we're gonna grab some red paint and we're gonna fill in the M. So the easiest way to do letters is to trace the lines, like the outside edges, and then come back and fill them in. And going slow is really key here. We're gonna put like a black line around this to make it really pop. So if you can't get it really straight line, it's okay. Don't worry about it too much. Just try to get it as straight as you can. And then go back and forth and fill in until you don't see any white bubbles sticking out. And then go the other way. down this side. And fill that in. So you're kind of going to attack the letter little bits at a time. And then we're going to go up. And then we're going to come to this side. And then we're going to meet up here at this point. And then you can smooth out any ridges. You can go back and fix any edges. You can fill in any white spots. And then we're going to move down here to the inside of his mouth. So we're going to put red here. And if you want it to be like a light pink inside of his mouth instead of red, you're going to add just a little bit of white to your red. I'm going to keep mine red just because that's like signature Mario. But you could have it more of like a pink inside his mouth. Alright, so now we have the inside of the mouth done and the teeth done. We're going to rinse out our brush. We're going to go back to our eyes that are pretty dry now. So we're going to pick up some blue, and you can make it a light blue eye or a dark blue eye. It is up to you. If you wanted a light blue eye, just take a little bit of your blue and mix with the white, and you'll get a light blue. And then we're going to fill in that middle circle there. And you can blend right on the canvas the two blues. So if you have a lighter blue here and then you pick up some darker blue and you blend through it, you can do that. You can leave it all one solid color. And then you're going to paint like circular. So start here and go up and curve, or come here and curve down. And we're going to do the same thing over here. Go around. And if you accidentally get it in your black part of your eye, you can just take a little bit of black paint and fix it. So don't freak out if it gets a little bit over. Make sure that you have it completely smooth though, and it's not got like ridges, because we don't want ridges in our eyes. And fill in any areas that have white bubbles. All right, and then we're gonna rinse that out. And now that we have our mouth and our teeth done, we're gonna go back with black, and we're gonna fill in around the teeth and the mouth. So you can just start it with in line and then go back and fill the edges in, or fill it in as you're going. And remember, black is your dominant color, so go kind of slow. And we're going to go over here. We're going to come down. And then we're going to go across in between the teeth and in between the red mouth or the tongue. if you may have done yours pink, so you would go in between the white teeth and the pink tongue. And then if you want to put some spaces in between his teeth, you can do that. I would just suggest doing it really lightly so he doesn't end up with big gaping holes in between his teeth. So just like something like that. And then you're gonna go across the top and make like a mouth smile. And push really lightly as you're going across, or you'll get a really big, thick smile. And you can go back and make it like a really even line if you need to. All right. So now my Mario is smiling. Yours may or may not be. And then we're gonna take the same black and we're gonna put some lines over here in the ear, and we're gonna do this the same way, really lightly. So we're gonna just do one here, and then we're gonna do another one coming like this. And do them really narrow. Okay, at this point, you're gonna want to look and see if there is any areas where you need to go back and do a second coat. So if you need to go back and do a second coat on any of the black areas or any of the reds, anywhere on your painting, if you need a second coat, just stop and dry it and then go do your second coats. And then the very last step is the lining. So in order to do the lining, you can use your detail brush with your black paint and put in the lines really carefully and softly like this. Or if you have a black Sharpie marker and you're more comfortable with a marker, you can dry your painting all the way and then use the Sharpie marker for the lines. So it is your choice which one you want to do. So at this point, we are going to pause, make sure we do second coats, make sure we have no white bubbles, make sure everything is coated the way we want, and then the last step is the lining. So grab your Sharpie pen if you're gonna use a Sharpie pen, or get your small brush clean and ready to do the black linings with the black paint. Either way. Okay, so now we're gonna do the very last step and we're gonna do the lining. I'm gonna show you how to do it with a marker, but if you're doing the paintbrush, just do it like I showed you right here, really lightly with a little bit of paint on there. If you're doing it with a Sharpie marker, make sure that it is completely dry. If there are any wet spots as you're going around, it will get on your Sharpie and it will not work anymore. So you want to make sure that your paint is dry and that you're not going to go across any paint bubbles that will adhere to the tip of your Sharpie. Because once it's on there, the Sharpie is done. Okay, so we're going to start, we'll finish the hat since we already started right there. We're going to do the line around here. And then we did that line. And we're going to continue it around here. And then we're gonna go here, all the way across that. This is how we're gonna make really clean edges to where the paint colors meet. And I'm going really slow. And then we're gonna go up here. And around the top of the hat. And coming down. And then we're gonna go down a little bit further like this. And then we're gonna come back up here. And we're gonna go around. And we're going to end right there. And then we're going to come back here and we're going to do the same thing on the inner part where the red and the white meet. And you can see it's really kind of cleaning up any of our little edges. And then we're going to do the same thing on the letter. So the Sharpie marker is a lot like the paintbrush. The harder you push, the wider the mark is going to be. The lighter you push, the more narrow the mark is going to be. And then right across the bottom and make it straight. All right, and then we have this half over here. So we're gonna go around the top of the hat and down to our eyebrow and then a little bit under. And then we're gonna go right along the face line there. And you can line your eyebrows if you wanna line your eyebrows. If your eyebrows are pretty good already and you don't need to line them, then skip that part. Okay, and then we're gonna go the same thing with the hair here. If you feel like the hair needs a smooth lining around it, then line it with your paint or your Sharpie. And the same thing with the mustache. All the hair is the same way. Okay, so right here for the nose, we're gonna go under the eye and then around the nose. And then you're gonna get to the edge. You'll have to be careful because there's a bar that holds the canvas on the back. And you're gonna come around the top of our mustache. And then I'm gonna just go ahead and put it all the way around. And then over here on his face, we're gonna follow the chin line down. Then we're going around the ear. And then right here, we're gonna go around there. And then the mouth, we're gonna go around the mouth as well. Okay, and then the eyes are the last part. When you do the eyes, you want to be really careful because you want the eyes to stay kind of round. So go slowly and use light pressure. And you're going to go in between each color. And we want it to be kind of thin. We don't want it to be really thick. And then the same thing on this one. And then the very last step is to give him an eye shine. So you can take your detail brush or the back of your brush, and you're gonna dip it in the white paint, and you're gonna give him a white dot in his eye. This is the eye shine. Just like that. And then voila! There you have it, Mr. Mario. We are sure that yours looks amazing, and we want to see it, so make sure that you send us a picture of your Mario, and we will paint again with you soon.